The statue that watched the city. The city of Jora had no doors, no people, and no sound. Just silence. Broken buildings stood like tired ghosts. Dust covered everything. But outside its great iron gate, something strange had watched the ruins for 20 years. It was her. She hung by her arms from a metal pole, head tilted down, white robes torn by wind and time. Her long silver hair floated in the breeze, never falling. Her skin, though untouched by age, looked pale like marble. Some called her a statue. Others called her a curse. They said she had been put there by the old rulers for a crime too great to name, but the scavengers called her the Watcher. One of them was a 17-year-old boy named Eli. He wore a patched jacket, broken goggles, and carried an old energy knife at his hip. He had no home. His family had died in the Great Galactic War. He lived off scrap, wires, fuel cells, old tech, anything he could find outside the dead cities. He visited Jora often, not for parts, but for her. "You still watching us?" He whispered one day, sitting under a rusted beam near her pole. The sun was low and the air had the smell of old metal. "They say you've been hanging there longer than I've been alive." He took out a dry fruit from his bag and chewed slowly. He always shared one piece with her, placing it carefully on a flat stone beneath her feet. She never moved. Not even once, but Eli liked to talk. "My mom used to say stories matter, said you were once a queen. Others say you betrayed your kind. For us. Helped humans during the war. They say this is what they did to you for it." He paused and looked up at her eyes. They were open, always open, watching, but lifeless. One evening, something strange happened. A solar flare passed through the sky, turning the clouds orange and gold. The wind screamed for a few seconds. Power flickered in Eli's tools. Even his knife buzzed alive in its sheath. And then he saw it. Her finger moved, just a twitch, small, fast, like a muscle remembering something. Eli jumped back. "No way," he whispered. He looked around, but the canyon was empty. Only birds and wind. He stared again, holding his breath. Nothing. Did you move?" he asked, voice shaking. He waited another 10 minutes. Nothing. The Watcher remained still, cold, lifeless. Maybe he had imagined it. But the next day he returned early. This time he brought a scanner. He pointed it at her body, checking for life signs. The screen blinked red. No activity. The words were clear. The scanner thought she was dead, but Eli didn't believe it. He ran back to the old town of Rustfall where a half-broken mechanic named Oren lived. Oren was once an engineer during the war. Now he just fixed junk and talked too much. "Oren," Eli said, "what do you know about something called soul stasis?" Oren froze. His hand stopped moving. He looked up slowly. "Where'd you hear that name?" "Just tell me," Eli said. "Please." Oren sighed. "Soul stasis ain't tech, kid. It's old alien punishment. Brutal stuff. It traps the soul, freezes it. Person can't move, can't talk, can't die. Just stays aware. Trapped in their own body forever." "So, they're alive? But can't move?" "Yeah, not fully alive, not dead either. It's a living prison. Only the high courts of the aliens used it. For traitors, rebels, or those who help the enemy." Eli felt his hands grow cold. What if someone's been in that state for 20 years? Oren's eyes widened. Then they've been in hell for 20 years. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He sat on a rooftop staring at the stars. The wind was cold, but his mind burned with questions. Was she really alive? Did she know he was there every time? Was she listening? The next morning, Eli returned with something he never shared, his mother's pendant. It was shaped like a crescent moon made of alien crystal. It pulsed faintly with blue light. His mother told him it came from a time before the war. Before humans were hated, he stood before the Watcher and held the pendant up. It glowed brighter. Then for a moment her eyes shimmered, a faint sparkle, almost like tears. Eli stepped back, Heart racing, the pendant grew hot in his hand. "You're alive," he whispered. "You're still in there." His voice trembled. "I'll get you out." As he turned to leave, the wind picked up, and for the first time in 20 years the statue's lips parted. A soft breath escaped, unheard, but not unfelt. The forbidden stasis code. Ely didn't go home after that. He couldn't. His mind spun with 1,000 questions and his heart beat like a war drum. Or, if she was truly alive, still trapped inside that silent body, then he had to do something. He had to. The pendant still pulsed in his hand as he walked through the empty desert, back to Rustfall. Its light didn't fade. If anything, it grew, stronger. In the deepest part of the town, under a junkyard covered with old fighter ship pieces, there was a secret door. Not many knew about it. Only the ones who had served during the war, and a few desperate scavengers who needed information. Badly enough, Eli had only heard rumors. He found it. A steel hatch half covered in sand, marked with a circle and 3 lines. Alien writing. He placed the glowing pendant on the hatch. Click. It opened. A staircase led underground. The air smelled like old circuits and rusted memory chips. Blue lights blinked along the walls. There was silence. And then, a voice. "You do not belong here," said the voice. Deep, cold, artificial. Eli swallowed his fear. "I need to know about the soul stasis," he said out loud. "I need to know how to break it." The room lit up slowly. It was not empty. A machine floated down from above, a smooth silver sphere with a single eye glowing red in the middle. The ancient AI. "You bring the relic of House Everan," the AI said. "Why?" "Because she's still alive," Eli said. "And I won't leave her like that." The AI hummed. Then, without warning, the walls shifted and a hologram filled the room. A court. An alien woman, the Watcher, stood tall before a panel of judges. Her silver hair was tied behind her, her eyes proud, unbroken. Her voice echoed across the chamber. "Protected the children of Earth," she said, "because they did not deserve to burn. They are not the enemy. We were once allies. Have you forgotten the oath?" The judges did not answer. Instead, one raised a staff, glowing dark green. "For your betrayal," the judge said, "you shall not die. You shall witness the death of your choices. You will watch the world pass, and feel nothing but silence." Eli watched as the pole formed behind her, and she was dragged away by armored guards. The hologram ended. Eli clenched his fists. She tried to save humans. That's why they punished her. "Correct," the AI said. "She was the last royal guardian of your kind, the last friend of humanity. And she paid the highest price." "How do I break the stasis?" Eli asked. The AI paused, then said, "It is not easy. It requires 3 parts: the key of origin, the blood of the protected, and the code of release. All 3 must be present. I have the pendant. That's from House Everan, right?" "Yes, that is the key of origin," said the AI. "It must be charged through truth and courage." "I'm human," Eli said. "I have her bloodline's memory in this pendant. Does that count?" "Your human blood is required. But the final part," the AI warned, "is the forbidden stasis code. It was erased from history. Only one place still holds it." "Where?" "Inside the fallen archive tower, in Zora's heart. But be warned, it is protected." Eli's eyes narrowed. "I'm not afraid." "You should be," the AI said. "Because once the code is activated, the city will awaken, and it will not be kind." That night, under a cloudless sky, Eli returned to the Watcher. He placed his hand on the base of the pole. The pendant flickered and sent out a small light. A symbol appeared on the pole, like a scar that had been hidden, a triangle with 3 circles. Eli copied the shape in his notebook, the first part of the code. Suddenly the ground shook. Machines deep under the ruins of Zora stirred awake. Ancient gears turned. Cables snapped. Somewhere far away an eye opened. The city had felt the touch of its prisoner's bloodline, And it did not forget. Eli ran. He didn't sleep that night. Instead, he studied everything the AI told him. He sketched symbols, checked old books, and recharged his pendant using solar light and memory triggers. When he thought of his mother, the pendant glowed stronger. By morning, he was ready. The fallen archive tower stood in the center of Zhora, surrounded by collapsed buildings and sensor traps. None dared to go there. Those who did never came back. Eli approached alone. A quiet whisper echoed as he stepped through broken gates. "Turn back," said a voice. Soft, almost like hers. He kept walking. Inside, he found a spiral staircase, covered in roots and dust. He climbed until he reached a room made of crystal glass. A console waited at the center. As Eli reached for it, the screen lit up. Forbidden code required. Voice imprint missing. Eli didn't stop. He took out the pendant and placed it on the screen. His voice shook, but he spoke. "My name is Eli. I carry the bloodline of the saved. I carry the memory of the forgotten. And I ask, release her." The screen blinked once, then twice. Then a voice said, "Code accepted. Trial begins." The entire tower began to hum. Lights turned on across Zhora, and at the gate, the watcher's lips twitched. Her fingers moved again, and this time, her heart beat once. Just once. But enough. Bloodline secrets and the burning sigil. The signal had been sent, and the city had heard it. Eli stood still in the glass room of the archive tower, watching as glowing red lines began to run through the floor like veins waking up. The power inside, Zhora, forgotten for 20 years, was returning. Outside, the clouds shifted. The sky above the city slowly turned gray, as if the heavens themselves had opened one wary eye. The watcher. She moved again. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Her lips parted, and though her voice was just a whisper, the words echoed across the wind. "He lives." Eli ran down the spiral staircase, heart thudding in his chest. The console had accepted him. The trial had begun. But now, the real danger was waking with it. As he reached the ground floor, a low hum vibrated through the ruins. Nearby drones, once broken, rose from the dust like sleeping wolves. Their sensors scanned the streets, their red eyes flashing. One of them turned toward him. Eli ducked behind a shattered pillar, holding his breath. Click, click. The drone hovered closer. He waited, silent. Then, buzz. A light burst from his pendant. The drone stopped. Its eye blinked blue for a second, and then it floated away. Eli exhaled. "You're protecting me now, huh?" he whispered, holding the pendant tight. He reached the edge of the city and found someone waiting for him. A figure hidden in robes, leaning on a tall wooden staff. A voice spoke from under the hood. "You touched the code, didn't you?" Eli stepped back. "Who are you?" The hood pulled back slightly. Under it was an alien, old with lines like tree roots across his skin and silver eyes that held centuries. His voice was dry but strong. "I was once the Watcher's guard. Her blade. Her friend. Now I'm just a shadow that Zhora forgot." Eli stared. "You knew her?" "She saved my life," the alien said. "When the council ordered the human cities burned, she stood between your kind and our soldiers. She refused to let innocent blood fall. And for that, they did this to her. Why didn't you help her?" Eli asked, almost angry. The old alien looked down. "Because I was a coward." The silence between them was heavy. Only the wind moved. Then Eli asked, "Do you know what the burning sigil is?" The alien's head turned slowly. "You've begun the unlocking ritual, haven't you?" "Yes," Eli said. "I activated the code, but the AI said the second step needs the burning sigil, and I don't know what or where that is." The alien nodded. "Then it's time you saw the place of her fall." They walked across broken streets to the west side of the city, an area no one entered. The air here felt colder. Even the sun above seemed dimmer. In the center stood a giant stone slab. On it, a mark had been burned deep into the surface, a circle with a sun inside pierced by a blade. This is where she gave up her title, the alien whispered. She placed her crown here, said if her people would not remember their honor, she would no longer lead them. Eli touched the mark. His pendant glowed, then it burst into flame. Not real fire, but light shaped like flame. A holographic symbol lit up across the sky. The same symbol burned on Eli's chest, searing through his jacket. He cried out and fell to his knees. "You are marked now," the alien said. "You carry her oath. This is the burning sigil, the second key. It marks you as her chosen." Eli gritted his teeth. The light faded, the pain passed, but the mark on his chest remained. Later that night, Eli returned to the Watcher. He stood before her and placed the pendant at the base of the pole. The light from it joined with the sigil on his chest. Together, they cast a beam upward, straight, into the sky. The Watcher's eyes widened, her lips moved. This time the words were clear. "You have her blood." Eli stepped closer. "I'm not related, I'm just a scavenger." "You wear her gift," she said. "You carry her light. You remember. That is enough." "I want to help you," Eli said. "Then go to the temple," she whispered. "The final key is memory." Suddenly, her body went still again, and far beneath the city, something woke up. Miles below, deep in the catacombs of Zhora, a great machine stirred. It had been created for one purpose, to defend the Council's justice. A voice echoed in the darkness. "The traitor's bonds are weakening. Locate the human carrying the sigil. Terminate." 6 hunter drones activated, rising from their resting place. They had one target, Eli. Above, the sky cracked with thunder. Eli didn't know it yet, but time was running out. He stood before the Watcher, hand over his heart, and said softly, "I swear I'll finish this. I'll set you free." The burning sigil pulsed on his chest, and in the shadows, eyes watched him. Hunting had begun. The machines that remember night fell over Zhora like a heavy blanket. But there was no peace in the dark. Beneath the ground, 6 hunter drones moved silently through hidden tunnels, their metal limbs gliding across broken steel and ancient rock. Their eyes glowed red. Their memory chips still carried one order from long ago: protect the judgment, destroy the defiers. And, the same time above them, Eli slept in a small tent near the ruins of a fuel depot. He had returned from the Watcher, his heart full of hope and fear. The sigil still burned faintly on his chest, even under his clothes. He dreamed of her, her voice, her eyes, her pain. But he didn't know what was coming. At dawn, the first drone surfaced near Rustfall. It scanned the area, picked up his scent. A voice echoed from its core. Target marked. Human, male. Age, 17. Blood, unauthorized. Sigil, active. Status, terminate. The hunt had begun. Eli woke to the sound of metal grinding. His eyes snapped open. The ground trembled. Then, boom, an explosion ripped through the depot's edge. Fire and dust flew into the sky. "What the—" He jumped out of his tent, grabbing his bag and pendant. Out of the smoke, a drone charged forward, tall, armored, with 6 sharp legs and a laser eye locked on him. "Run," he told himself. And he did. Eli dashed through the ruins, heart pounding like a drum. Blaster shots flew past his head. Pieces of rock exploded around him. The drone's steps shook the ground. He ducked through a narrow passage, rolled behind a broken tank, and pulled out his energy knife. "Come on. Come on." He pressed the button. It flickered weakly. No power. "Great," he muttered. A sharp claw slammed down inches from his head. He rolled again, dodging a beam of red light that turned the wall beside him to ash. Eli ran toward the cliff at the edge of Rustfall. He had one chance. He leapt. Air rushed past him, and he slammed into a pile of sand at the bottom, hard, but alive. Behind him, the drone didn't follow. Instead, it signaled the others. Target escaped. Redirect to city core. Eli limped through the lower canyons, bleeding from a cut on his leg. He reached an old shack hidden in the rocks. Waiting. Inside was the old alien guardian. "They found you," the alien said without needing to ask. "Yeah," Eli gasped. "Just one, but I think more are coming." The alien closed the door and began preparing herbs for the wound. "You woke the city. The machines remember everything, and they don't forgive. Then help me finish this before they kill me." The alien looked at him. "Do you still want to free her?" "Yes. Then you must go to the crypts of memory." Deep under Zora, hidden behind a broken cathedral, there was a stairway. It led to a vast underground vault known as the Memory Crypts, a place where thoughts and moments were stored as light and sound. It was also the place where the final piece of the ritual was kept. The alien guided Eli to the entrance and gave him one warning. "Inside, your mind will not be your own. The city will show you what it remembers, and you must not run from it." "What am I looking for?" Eli asked. "A single word," said the alien. "Her name, spoken by the one she saved. The memory of it will unlock the prison." Eli entered, alone. As he stepped inside, the walls came alive with light. Thousands of moments surrounded him, floating shapes of people laughing, fighting, crying, human and alien, warriors and children, all memories trapped in time. Then the lights turned red, and the crypt spoke. "Welcome, Eli of the blood. You are not forgotten." The floor shook. Suddenly, he was no longer alone. Figures walked around him, transparent images, but full of emotion. He saw the Watcher standing tall, holding back a crowd of alien soldiers. Behind her, a human girl cried, holding her father's hand. "You will not harm them," the Watcher said. The soldiers raised their weapons. The Watcher stood firm. Then, a voice cried from the crowd. "Alindra!" It was the girl. "Don't die, Alindra." The Watcher turned and smiled. "Thank you for remembering my name." Everything turned white. The vision shattered, and the name echoed in Eli's ears. Alindra. But the crypt didn't stop there. A new memory formed. This time, it was Eli's. His mother held him as a baby. She hummed a song. Then she whispered something, placing the crystal pendant around his neck. This belonged to the last protector. "Remember her, Eli. Remember Alindra." His heart pounded. It was always with him. Her name had lived in him since birth. He turned to leave. But the crypt wasn't done. The drones had found the entrance. Explosions shook the walls. Rocks fell. Eli ran, but the path back was blocked. He turned the other way, deeper into the vault. The tunnels grew tight, and then he saw it. A giant gate glowing with alien symbols. In the center, a circle waiting for a voice. He stepped forward and shouted, "Alindra!" The symbols lit up. The gate opened. A path formed, leading straight toward the Watcher's pole. Even from far away, she felt it. Her breath quickened. Her pulse returned, and in her eyes, fire-eyed Eli climbed out through the secret exit behind the cathedral, gasping for air. The hunter drone searched the tunnels behind him, but he was already gone. He looked down at his chest. The sigil now burned brighter than ever. The ritual was nearly complete. One last step remained. Far beneath Zora, the city's heart, a massive core of light, pulsed once, and a new voice, ancient and angry, rose from the depths. "She is waking. Prepare the judgment. Prepare the arbiter." The final weapon had been called, and it was coming. Her eyes opened the moment Eli spoke her name. Everything changed. From the heart of the city, an invisible pulse shot outward, through the streets, the towers, the underground, vaults. It passed through steel, memory, and silence, and when it reached the pole outside the gates, Alindra's eyes moved. Not a twitch, not a flicker. They focused, her fingers clenched. 20 years of stillness. Broken. Her breath returned, and the city felt it. The wind howled across the desert. The clouds above Zora turned crimson as stormlight gathered. Deep beneath the city, the arbiter woke. It was no machine. It was a weapon forged in fear. A being half alive, half synthetic, built to act when the city's greatest secrets were threatened. No voice, no emotion, only programming. Status: stasis breach. Traitor detected. Execution required. Its body unfolded from the core, 10 feet tall, built of black obsidian and alien alloys. Its chest burned with red energy. Its arms carried weapons older than war itself, and it began to rise. Eli didn't know that the Arbiter was coming. He ran across the cracked roads of Zora, heading toward the gates where Alindra hung, but this time she was no longer silent. As he reached the pole, her eyes locked onto his. Sharp, deep, alive. "You came," she said, voice raw but strong. Eli's legs almost gave out. "I told you I would." Her lips curved into the first smile she had shown in 20 years. "Then listen," she said. "We don't have much time." Alindra's bindings were still wrapped around her wrists and ankles, heavy chains powered by alien tech, made to hold her soul inside her body. "The ritual. It's almost done," Eli said, holding up the pendant. "There's one last step," she told him. "You must place the pendant in the judgment throne." "Where is that?" "Deep beneath the city, beneath the old hall of truth. But you must hurry. The Arbiter is coming." Eli felt a chill crawl down his spine. "What is the Arbiter?" Alindra's voice was soft now. "It's the one that kills. What should never rise." Suddenly, boom, the earth shook. Dust rose into the air. On the far side of Zora, a tower collapsed. The Arbiter had arrived. It moved like a storm, fast, precise, unstoppable. It didn't care for walls. It walked through them. Everything it touched turned to ash. It scanned the city, eyes glowing with ancient code. Target: Traitor Queen Alindra. Human ally detected. Terminate both. Eli didn't wait. He ran to the pole, reached up and placed the pendant against her chains. They hissed. One of them cracked. Alindra winced, but didn't cry out. "It's breaking," Eli said. "I just need to..." Boom! The wall behind him exploded. The Arbiter landed, a blast of energy knocking Eli to the ground. Its red eyes locked onto Alindra. It raised its weapon. Eli jumped in front of her. "No!" he shouted. The Arbiter's cannon glowed. Alindra raised one hand, barely able to move, and whispered a word. A shield burst around them, golden and weak, but enough to block the shot. She collapsed. "Run," she said. "Not without you. You must finish the ritual. You are the only one who can. Go." Eli hesitated, just for a second. Then he turned and ran, tears in his eyes, pendant in hand. The Arbiter didn't chase. It turned back to Alindra. "You should not have awoken," it said. Alindra lifted her head. "Then try and make me sleep. Again." Eli ran through the shattered streets, heart pounding. He reached the center of the city, where the old Hall of Truth once stood. Only ruins remained. But below it a path opened. He followed it. It led to a chamber shaped like a star, with a single black throne at its center. The Judgment Throne. He stepped forward. Voices filled the air, echoes of the past. She betrayed her kind. She defended the enemy. She must be erased. Her memory must be sealed forever. Eli clenched his fists. "You were wrong," he whispered. He placed the pendant into the throne's heart. Light exploded outward, and the chains on Alindra's body shattered. The Arbiter stepped back. Alindra fell, but not weakly. She caught herself. Her feet touched the ground. Her body, once frozen, stood tall. Her robes wrapped around her like armor. Her eyes burned with fire. "You lose," she said. The Arbiter charged. They clashed. Steel met light. Energy met will. The battle shook the city. From the throne room, Eli felt the ground quake. He turned to leave. But the voice of the city stopped him. "You are the bridge," it said. "You carry the mark. You must choose." "Choose what? To erase her, or to let her live? The old law demands judgment." Eli thought of the stories, of the pain, of the years Alindra suffered for saving people like him. He stepped onto the throne and shouted into the dark, "I choose her!" The city paused, then responded, "Choice accepted. New law, protector's judgment, status, free." The sky above Zora split open with golden light. The arbiter froze in place. Alindra struck one final blow. Its core cracked. It fell, dead, forever. Later, as the sun returned to the sky, Alindra stood at the gates, free. Her silver hair blew in the wind, her arms no longer bound. She looked at Eli. "You did what no one else could." Eli smiled. "You deserved it." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "Now we rebuild." And in the distance, the city of Zora began to breathe again. But deep in the outer systems, others had heard the signal. The last protector had risen, and not everyone was happy. The trial beneath the city. The war machine was gone. Alindra was free. The city of Zora stood silent once more. But silence does not always mean peace. Far beneath the streets, something ancient waited. It had no name. It had no face. It was memory itself. And it was not done with Eli. The sky was red, with morning light as Alindra and Eli stood near the old temple ruins, watching smoke rise from what was left of the arbiter. "The throne accepted your choice," Alindra said, "but the city has one final step, the trial beneath. It's old law, written into the stone when Zora was first born." Eli turned to her. "What kind of trial?" "Not of strength," she said. "Of soul." They entered through a narrow staircase hidden under the temple's roots. It led them into the heart of Zora, an ancient place known as the Chamber of Truths. The air grew thick. Walls flickered with glowing symbols. Water dripped from the ceiling, echoing like distant footsteps. A circle waited in the center of the chamber made of light and shadow, spinning slowly like a living mirror. Alindra stepped aside. "Only you can go," she whispered. "Why me?" "Because you carry the sigil, the blood, the choice. Zora will speak to you, and only you." Eli looked into the circle. "Will I survive?" Alindra didn't answer. As he stepped inside, the world changed. He was no longer in the chamber. He stood in a place without sky, without walls, just darkness stretching forever. A voice called from nowhere and everywhere, Eli of the human line. "You carry the memory of mercy. Speak. Why did you free the traitor?" Eli's voice trembled. "Because she wasn't a traitor." Proof? Memories appeared around him like glass windows. He saw Alindra defending the children during the war, pulling a wounded soldier from fire, standing against her own people. "She chose what was right," he said, "even when it cost her everything." "And you?" A new memory formed, his mother dying, handing him the pendant. "You will live," she said, "so that one day others can." Tears filled his eyes. "I don't want revenge," Eli said. "I want healing." The voice was silent for a long time. Then came the whisper, "Then walk through your fear and face your reflection." A figure appeared before him. It was himself, but darker, colder. This other Eli wore black armor and a crown of fire. His eyes glowed with anger. "You should have left her," the other Eli said. "Taken the pendant, sold it, survived. That's not who I am. It's who you could be." The reflection sneered. "This world doesn't reward kindness, it punishes it." Eli stood tall. "She suffered for 20 years because she helped people like me. And if I turned my back on that, I'd be worse than the ones who chained her." The reflection roared and lunged. They fought, not with weapons but with will, light against shadow, hope against fear. When Eli stood victorious, the reflection vanished, and the darkness cracked. He found himself back in the chamber. Alindra was waiting, eyes glowing with pride. "You passed," she said. "What now?" "Now," she said, You are more than a boy with a pendant. You are the key to the future. But above ground, ships began to appear in the sky. They were not human, nor were they Joran. They belonged to the council, the ones who had punished Alindra long ago. A voice echoed through the clouds. Return the traitor, or face annihilation. Eli and Alindra stood at the edge of the gate once more. Ships blocked the sun. Energy weapons charged. They want you back, Eli said. Alindra nodded. I know. What do we do? She looked at him. We show them the truth. They climbed. The old signal tower in Zora's center. It hadn't worked in 20 years. Eli repaired the circuits with tools from the old depot. Alindra rewired the core. Together, they connected the city's memories into one final message, a story of what really happened, of what she did, of why she did it. The message shot into space. A wave of truth, uncut, unbroken, spread across the council network. All could see now. The choice she made, the children she saved, the punishment she endured, and the human who stood by her. Above, the council fleet held fire. For the first time in centuries, the silence of judgment was broken by voices of doubt. And then, a single ship turned away. Then another. One by one. They left. Alindra breathed deeply. The wind felt different now. Free. She turned to Eli. We did it, he smiled. No, you did. She laughed gently. No, we did. That night fires burned in celebration. People from Rustfall came to the city. They brought food, music, stories. Alindra stood among them, no longer feared, no longer forgotten, and Eli. He stood beside her, not as a scavenger, not as a lost boy, but as a bridge between worlds, yet far beyond the stars. A darker power watched, one that did not forgive truth, one that feeds on fear, and it whispered to itself, the protector rises. But so will the reaper. She walked again. The stars above Zora were finally clear. No warships, no judgment, no fear. For the first time in 2 decades, Alindra walked through her city, on her own feet, no chains, no pole. People followed in silence, unsure whether to kneel or speak. Even the wind seemed to pause as she passed, and beside her walked Eli, no longer a scavenger but something more. He had unlocked the truth. He had freed the last protector, and he had survived the trial beneath the city. The ruins of the old council tower had been turned into a new meeting place. Around it, tents and lights filled the streets. Scavengers, farmers, ex-soldiers, even aliens who once hid now returned, curious and cautious. Alindra stepped onto the platform and raised her voice. 20 years ago, she said, I chose mercy. I was punished. She paused, scanning the crowd. But one boy remembered what the galaxy forgot. He didn't know me. He had nothing. Yet he believed. Eli looked down, face red. Today, she said, Zora lives again. Not because of power, but because of memory. And now, we protect each other. Cheers rose, laughter followed. Hope, once buried under steel and silence, rose like a second sunrise. That night, Alindra and Eli sat by a fire on the city wall, watching the stars. She sipped hot root water from a clay cup. He chewed on dried fruit and finally asked, So, what now? Alindra smiled. We rebuild. You're not afraid the council will return? They saw the truth. But even if they forget, we'll remind them again. Together. Eli nodded slowly. Then he looked up at the stars. There's something out there, he said quietly. I know. Across the galaxy, deep in a forgotten sector known as the Ashfold Reach, a ship floated like a wound in the void. Its body was black metal shaped like a broken crown. Inside, shadows moved. Screens lit up, replaying Alindra's broadcast. Her voice echoed. Her face glowed. And from the center of the ship, a low voice rumbled. She walks again. Then the gate must open. 6 dark figures knelt before the voice, their faces hidden behind glass masks, each one marked with a symbol of extinction. Send the Reaper. Let her finish what the council feared to do. Back on Zora, Alindra's dreams turned cold. She stood again before the judgment pole. Only this time, Eli was hanging from it, his body still, his eyes open, watching. And behind him, fire rose into the sky. Alindra woke with a sharp breath, heart pounding. Just a dream, she whispered. But her pendant, the twin to Eli's, glowed red. A week later, Zora's skies changed again, not with ships, but with storms. Black clouds rolled in without warning. Lightning crackled like broken glass. Even the plants in the soil began to curl. Animals cried in fear. And at the edge of the desert, a figure arrived, a woman, cloaked in red, face covered in white metal, hands wrapped in bone. People who saw her said the air around her screamed. She said nothing. She simply walked toward the city. Alindra felt it first. Her pulse skipped. The ground under her boots felt wrong. She turned to Eli. Something's here. That night during a peace gathering, the woman in red appeared at the edge of the flames. She didn't attack. She only stared. Alindra stepped forward. Who are you? The woman tilted her head. Her voice was soft, like wind through ash. I am Judgment's answer. Then she pointed to Eli. He broke the balance. The old world cannot forgive that. Alindra stood between them. Then you'll face me. The woman smiled beneath her mask. Yes, I was sent for you, Protector. The duel happened at sunrise, on the broken platform where Alindra had once stood in chains. Now she stood free, her blade glowing with gold energy, humming with every breath. The Reaper pulled out twin whips of black lightning. This ends, she whispered, with silence. They clashed, light met shadow, faith met fury. The battle shook the streets. Aliens and humans watched from rooftops and windows. Every blow sent wind roaring across buildings. Eli wanted to help, but he couldn't. Alindra had warned him, this fight is older than us both. She fought like a storm, but the Reaper was faster. Colder. A slash across Alindra's leg brought her to one knee. The Reaper raised her whip for the final blow, and then Eli shouted, Alindra! Her eyes snapped open. She rolled, dodged, and grabbed the Reaper's wrist. You don't belong here, she said. Then boom! Alindra drove her blade into the ground. A shockwave of memory erupted from the stone. Images of all she had done, saving children, shielding soldiers, standing for peace, rushed into the Reaper's mind. The Reaper screamed. Her body cracked. Her mask broke in two. Underneath there was no face, only a shell of code and fear. She turned to dust. The wind took her away. After the battle, Alindra collapsed. Eli caught her. You won, he whispered. She smiled, blood on her lips. Not yet. You're hurt. I'll live. The people rushed forward, but no one touched her. They knelt instead. That night, Zora held its first light festival in decades. Lanterns rose into the sky. Songs were sung. And in the center of VD, it all stood the boy who changed everything, not because he was strong, but because he remembered, because he believed. Alindra walked beside him, no longer a prisoner, now a protector, once again, forever. The end.